All right, so this is the PBSI movie assignment. My name is Raj Patel. I will be presenting for my group. My group members are Laura and Lucas, and we did Fight Club, made in 1999. Here are just a couple of pictures from the movie, kind of just showing a couple scenes and I guess different parts of the movie. So basically, the narrator in Fight Club is an unnamed protagonist who suffers from insomnia and a sense of emptiness in his consumer-driven life. He attends various support groups in hopes to cure his insomnia. These groups are basically filled with different disorders, but none that actually contribute to his specifically. And while on a business trip, he meets Tyler Durden, which is basically his second identity. And they go on to form an underground fight club as a form of rebellion against societal norms. And this fight club basically involves or evolves into a larger movement which seeks to disrupt the consumer-driven culture. This movie takes place in an urban environment that reflects a dissatisfied modern society, and the culture portrayed within the society contains a lack of genuine human connections with the bland and soulless world. The diagnosis is basically dissociative identity disorder, or DID, which is a condition characterized by the presence of two or more distinct identities, which is basically the narrator and Tyler. Considering the film's cultural context, the narrator's DID can be seen as a response to the cruel and oppressive aspects of society. Um, as I said earlier, Tyler Durden is his dissociative identity, and it's basically a manifestation of his rebellious subconscious formed from the emptiness he's been feeling in life. Um, if the narrator had seek therapy, he could have possibly been diagnosed earlier and gotten treatment earlier. But in certain cultures, the expression of symptoms can take various forms and acceptance can vary as well, the disorder. Some have different explanations and recognition of DID. In our culture, stigmas associated with DID include skepticism about the validity of the disorder, misconceptions, and judgments, which can all cause a lack of understanding of the disorder. Some evidence that points towards this, basically Edward Norton, who is referred to as a narrator, is the one who's experiencing DID. Evidence of the disassociation can be seen at the end of the movie, where we know basically the whole plot twist, that Tyler was in fact the narrator, but also fake identity or basically projection. Evidence of his memory gaps can be seen in numerous conversations with Marla, which is another symptom of DID, where he couldn't remember anything or conversations he had with her. The one thing the narrator doesn't show in most cases of DID is a person's identity never interacts with one another. So this movie like goes against that as they're basically Tyler and the narrator constantly talking and discussing different things as if he's there in person. Treatment would involve providing obviously first psychiatric evaluation to see how severe it is or what medications could possibly help him initially. Secondly, we know that DID can stem from trauma, so we can speak to a therapist and dive into that and see if there's something we could gauge and see how bad his whole situation is off of that. Next, the narrator obviously could go to group counseling because we've seen that earlier. That was a solution he tried to use. He just wasn't utilizing his resources properly. Um, but some concerns would be the fact that one, he was going to the wrong groups and he would need consent, obviously. And then social stigma around men getting mental help, he probably would be shied away from that as he would be looked down upon or wouldn't be encouraged. So broad perspectives, it is kind of difficult to say if they portrayed the ID good or bad, but in this instance, I would say it wasn't an accurate portrayal. Most DID cases involved people who've experienced severe past trauma and they try to use DID to cope, but in this instance, there wasn't really a reference to any severe past trauma except just the fact that he had severe depression or like he just wasn't a part of society. Um, like I said earlier, the physical manifestation of Tyler isn't entirely accurate as people with DID don't entirely interact with the other identity. And then another thing would be how he, at the end of the movie, obviously, where he tried to kill or cure himself with Tyler. That's not accurate as you don't just immediately recognize, oh, this person is not real and I'm just experiencing hallucinations or something, so let me just get rid of him by doing that, which is not how treatment works. And then in terms of portrayal of the disorder, um, movies have a lot of power in that sense. They can provide inaccurate representations or accurate representations of the disorder, provide a better understanding of them, but they also have the ability to change one's perspective or approach to people with certain disorders. And it can also lead to self-diagnosis, which can be inaccurate and people can just go crazy with that and it can create common misconceptions. But it also provides a way for us to pinpoint potential disorders that a loved one or friend may be experiencing, guide them in the right direction. So yeah, that's pretty much everything.